I'd like to call this meeting of the Ross Valley Sanitary District, November 13th, 2022 to order. Roll call, please.
Director Mead? Me? Here. Director Bella? Here. Director Borson?
Yes, ma'am.
Director Gaffney? Director Kelly?
I'm here. Okay, now we can all do the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a guest, and that is first on the agenda.
We just went over back to Sacramento on the ranks. We'll move that right up.
That's the item number 8.
Yeah. So we'll move that. We have no public here. So, yeah, if it's okay, we'll move number 8 up to right now. And that motion.
Why did you move? Can we change the agenda for that item change?
Any?
Oh, second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 8, please. Assistant General Manager, Newhouse, calling in from far away.
Hello, greetings from Monterey. Nice to see you all. It's funny to be on this side of the presentation. I'm really pleased to see Nick here. Thank you for joining us this evening. I know you've come from a ways away to meet our full board. This item actually has been to the Finance Committee twice, once last month and again just yesterday morning. District staff issued an RFP for new banking services. We were looking actually a couple of different things. We wanted to consolidate our credit card bank services along with our operational account services. And we started this process actually several months ago before the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic Bank. And so we did make some adjustments to our, our RFP or the responses to the RFP during that process. U.S. Bank provided the most robust response to our request for proposals. And as we explained to the Finance Committee, they have a local branch here there in San Rafael at Montecito Plaza. And Corey, the finance supervisor, and I had the pleasure of meeting the branch manager there. He's been employed with U.S. Bank for, I think he said 22 years. So we were very impressed with their staff consistency, along with their bank service offerings, which Nick will be happy to tell you about as well. They provide services to the state of California. One of the things that was really interesting to me about them, in addition to the fact that they service a lot of other governmental agencies, is that they have a commercial credit card called CalCard, which is a no-cost credit card. Visa. It's very similar to what we're currently using with Wells Fargo Bank. But again, we can wrap up all of our banking services with one provider. And we are recommending that provider be U.S. Bank. The Finance Committee had a few questions for us with regards to, what their charges are. I think Nick can go into a little bit more detail about that. We did do some analysis. Corey provided U.S. Bank with a history of our balances, and we were able to through that exercise, compare them sort of apples to apples, if you will, with the charges that we are paying to Bank of Marin, which is about $80 per month. US Bank can provide the same, actually greater amount of services for less cost. So for those reasons, we'd like to suggest that the board approve a new banking service with US Bank. And with that, I don't see Corey online. Is he?
He just entered.
Oh, he is right here now. Okay, good. Well, Steve, if there was anything else that you'd like to add from our discussions with the Finance Committee?
Yeah, we've been Bank of Marin for a while, and I think, some of the direct comparisons, I think the board and the Finance Committee have been interested in is, what's the interest rate? And I talked to Corey about this a little bit today. I think Bank of Marin can offer something like 0.27%, and initial offer from US Bank for 5 years would be 0.75%. And it's difficult for a smaller bank like Bank of Marin to offer interest at that level, the larger bank, And Felicia mentioned, banks failing. And, we're all rooting for Bank of Marin, our local bank and everything, but they're at the same level and size as some recent bank failures in the last week, according to Corey. And so just, in terms of resilience for us going forward in the future, it's good for us to look at other options as Felicia and Corey have explored. And so there are a lot of benefits, I'm sure Nick's going to be able to articulate those, but there are a lot of reasons for us to make this move. Consolidating their services so that just, one login, is what Corey said, one login, for the credit card, for the accounts and everything else. And then also an opportunity for investment. I know the board has asked us in the past about investing our funds in a conservative but profitable way, and with US Bank we'll have the opportunity to explore those opportunities that we can't get with our current bank. And I think that's all I wanted to say. And back to you, Felicia.
Great, thanks for those ads. Corey, would you like? Well, I just introduced the item. Clearly, you and Steve have had some conversations about this. I welcome any comments from Nick. Is that you in the back there?
See, you're in Monterey. I'm a little jealous. Nick Nelson, I'm a relationship manager with US Bank, vice president, sit in Sacramento, same building as Andrea. And I'm part of somewhat of an elite group of bankers within US Bank that is solely dedicated to the public sector. So our clients within our team are states, counties, cities, and special districts like yourselves. We do nothing but that within our group. And I really enjoy the role. I'm dedicated and tasked to manage our Northern California portfolio, which includes the Bay Area. Again, public sector is all we do. And we do that. Most of my time is spent with treasury management, deposits, DDAs, as we call them, your checking, savings accounts, etc. The movement of monies in and out. The partner I work most closely with is our treasury management team, and they are in charge of setting up all the technology that facilitates your accounts receivable, accounts payable, the flow of cash in and out of your accounts. But what's unique and fun about from my perspective, our proposal to you as well, is that I have a number of other partners that I have access to. CalCard, what we call corporate payment systems, is one. CalCard is a program that we set up through the state of California, and we have the ability to roll that out to any government agency within the state. In the proposal, you'll see a graph that talks about some of the rebate incentives with using CalCard and it's really incentivized by expeditious payment. So, you pay off your bill quickly, you get a rebate, and I would put that rebate program up against any other competitors in the market. We also own a company called Elevon, which is a merchant processing company, which is also partnered with the state to provide a certain joinder that allows you guys to have certain pre-approved and negotiated rates with, that the state has already done. I'm not sure how big of, I don't think that was addressed in the RFP. We own a company called PFM Asset Management, which is a financial advisor within the public, really big player in the public space. We have a very large corporate trust and custody division as well. So with regard to Steve's point about investments, we're very well suited and have a fairly large part of the market share with regard to helping public entities with their investment strategies, et cetera. And then should the district need any lending, have a great team of public finance lenders that are immediately at my disposal as well. So in terms of Corey's comment about a one-stop shop or a single login, I feel very confident about our ability to deliver that to you folks. And I'm honored to be here today, so thanks for having me. Yeah. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. I'm sure you have some, but happy to answer those for you.
Well, I've been questioning about getting rebates on our credit card, and this one, we weren't getting anything, I don't think. Now was it?
That's correct.
1.35%, which is considerable to some people.
The other thing, if I may mention about the CalCard program and corporate payment systems, is it's a very, very, very robust platform. So it's not only offering a rebate, but we can delve deep into technology with that platform in terms of providing reports, automatic reconciliation, kind of the things that would help Felicia and Corey and their team to facilitate the settlement of those charges and so on and so forth. So it's a very, again, very robust technologically backed card program that has a lot of efficiencies built into it as well.
Do you have a credit card machine at the office?
Not a machine.
No, not currently. You mean to accept payments? No, we're looking into that, actually, Doug, and that's on the horizon.
Okay. I would say over the years, L1 has not been my favorite credit card processor, but I'm in the hospitality business, and I don't think they're very good tipping. It's always been odd.
So we won't be involved for fries.
I'm not sure that.
I don't think we want tips, right? Tom, what kind of
Maybe the only place I'll say is where you're not asked to tip.
What kind of questions did the finance committee consider? And just, I'm sure you went through it with a fine tooth comb.
We were all over those calculations because there were some numbers left out, but we asked Corey, how much more is it going to cost? And it costs less than what we're getting. And that was the kind of thing that we were interested in. And we also wanted to earn credit on it. So that was it. And do you think of anything else?
I like the fact that it seemed like they're really progressing with the technology as opposed to our current bank, which maybe a little bit more old-fashioned, not as big, so not able to do as quickly.
And we like the consolidation of banking.
Yeah, on that point of technology, Corey, you mentioned something to me recently about having to take checks that are signed down to the post office or that sort of thing. Bank of Marin, and with US Bank we can do scanning of checks, right? So we can.
Yes, it's called a remote deposit capture technology. Basically, it's a machine that sits on our person's desk, and they could literally scan the check in right then and there while they're sitting there without having to drive to the bank with a bag of checks and drop it off in their night drop deposit box.
How long have we been with Bank of Marin? I feel like I recall Frank Egger going and talking to them and getting that started.
It predates me, certainly, but I'm not sure how much farther back exactly it is.
At the time, we didn't have a great community image, And so I could be wrong, but there's something in the back of my mind that tells me that that was seen as a good step in terms of faith with the community, but
Well, one of the things that happened was with Wells Fargo. Our buddy opened up some accounts, put the board's names on them or some of the board's name on them because I received a call, something I had to do at the bank, and I found out that my name had been added to a savings account. So I'm assuming that is just all history. And I mean, we have now policies, and before, I don't think we had policies before. I mean, I was signing checks for millions of dollars by myself. And so anyway, this is a good thing, and I'm glad we're doing it.
Are we gonna phase off of our current credit card or?
Well, that's a good question.
You said this is not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take a couple of months.
That's right. That's right, Director Gaffney. We talked about this at the Finance Committee, that it would take a couple of months to, get the accounts, the appropriate accounts opened at U.S. Bank, to get the credit card applications. We have, the district has, several individual named credit cards for, certain managers and supervisors, getting those set up before we close the accounts, corresponding accounts at Bank of Marin. We also have, and Wells Fargo. We also have a number of vendors, that we'll need to, make sure that our automatic payments or, all of the routing numbers are taken care of at the new bank. And of course, with the county tax assessor, they make a direct deposit into our account at Bank of Marin. LAIF also will need our new banking information. So there's a number of steps that we'll have to implement before the transfer is complete to U.S. Bank, after approval by the board, of course.
who does CMSA uses?
It's West America Bank.
I was gonna say, and I actually,
Yeah.
I
What's
think,
the question?
who does
CMSA is West America.
this is West America right over.
So, and I was recently contacted by them and notified that they will be going out to RFP.
We will be doing.
Going out to RFP as well, and we'll be responding to that as well.
Right. You know, we're their largest GPA. We are they are us.
And that's Central San, is that what you're?
Yes, this
Or-
agency.
Or Central Marin.
Central San is.
Central
Contra
Costa.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's
Yeah,
that's who I'm speaking of, yeah, I'm sorry.
Central San.
Central San.
Yeah, they're in Contra Costa.
We don't pump our waste.
Okay, I'm sorry for
That's
the.
okay.
No problem.
But we don't, so CMSA still uses the West America, it's right over here.
We use West America.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Well,
No further
Our old
questions?
general manager before Steve is now over at Central Center.
Okay.
As the assistant, right? Assistant general manager.
You left San Francisco?
Nothing like working at a
I'm sure
sanitary.
regrets getting you this job, boss, Steve.
Yeah, nobody else has any questions?
No.
The motion,
I recommend that we accept U.S. Bank Code proposal for temporary management services and also write the district GM text for the purposes. The new bank and credit card.
Second.
all in favor?
Hi.
Okay.
Long drive for a short meeting.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you all. I assume I'll connect with Corey and Felicia to get the wheel set in motion. And we thank you for your business. Yeah.
Thank you.
Look forward to working.
Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Okay. So we did the open time to the public and we still have no public here, so let's move ahead to committees report out. Ad hoc facilities committee. We went over there yesterday and they're really going for it. They're putting the pavers in the front so that our people can get in the front door, and boy, it looks really nice. A lot of furniture is in. It's very odd not odd, but it's kind of fun as you walk from room to room, up to area. Lights come on, lights go off, and it's to save a lot of energy overall. The parking lot looks like it'll be absolutely lovely. They're really cramming to get it done by December the 4th. We don't have any huge atmospheric rivers. The gentleman who spoke out in front seemed to think that was all still doable. But I don't think, in talking to Steve, that even if we couldn't move all of our vehicles over, we still keep them over at the landing, and we could, in the interim, until it was completely done, to have the trucks parked there. We could keep them over there and move the rest of the people over to 1111. I believe that's what
That'll be in the general manager's report. No.
Yeah, that's not the plan.
That's not the plan.
Right, Felicia? Correct, yeah, that is not the plan.
No, that is
Yeah,
not.
that is not the plan. The contractor and I actually just had this conversation. Was it just yesterday? My day is so off kilter because of the drive down here last night. But so yesterday morning, the contractor and I had a conversation about making sure that all of the district's vehicles are going to be able to park on site that last week of November. I told him we're driving in. You're gonna make a spot for us. So he can make sure that the secured vehicle, district vehicle parking on the east side of the building is complete first and foremost. So he gave me that verbal promise. Now, of course, we'll hope that the weather holds out.
I'm happy to report that the chairs that are currently in Steve's office, who were built in the Byzantine era, are not moving over, and the new chairs are there currently. So we're not moving the chairs that have the rips in them over.
You didn't mention that we had an action shot of the finance committee in the board.
Yeah, we did.
In our new chairs, but there's
The
no
chairs.
John
The
is
guys are not there yet, but he will be.
The finance committee met there?
No, the facilities committee.
Oh, facilities committee.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really a nice place.
Very nice.
And,
But it's a mess out front so far.
Yeah, it is a mess. Parking lot's a mess, Joe.
okay, finance committee.
We have one question. What does this lend us to, at some point, having an agenda item on for Turner?
January, I think we have that tentatively scheduled, right, Steve?
Yeah, in January.
Okay.
How soon they abandoned.
Finance committee.
Finance committee, we of course covered the financials. We still in financials, the excellent financial condition, just like last month. And, don't have any money, but should be in 2 months. We're spending money normally, and we're have hardly any revenues. We can still do.
A few months ago, we noticed that there was a check made out for a pizza shovel. And it turned out one of our guys figured out that they could modify a pizza shovel and use it for one of the things that they had to do at one of the pump stations, and it was way less expensive. So Tom noticed that this time there was a thing called the bird cage. And it turns out that that's a submersible thing that goes into one of our areas and for measuring heights and things like that. So everything's good. Regardless, everything's fine.
We also reviewed the U.S. Bank proposal. We've seen it before, and then we reviewed a little bit on the two IVAC camera system. Let me go for the facilities.
Doug, do you wanna
Sure,
let us see MSA?
I will be happy to.
Wasn't,
So, we had our financial audit, which came up beautiful. Everything's great. Our finances are in great shape. We also received a certificate of excellence in financial reporting for last year. And it's the 21st or 22nd year in a row, CMSA has been awarded that. So they're all over the place. We did have a great presentation by Ben Hornstein from MMWD about recycling. It's almost worth watching because, you know, he's really talking about costs. Where does MMWD want to go? Do they want to go in recycled, or do they want to go into desal? The problem with both of them is that it's wicked expensive if you don't do them continuously. And if you're getting rain in the wintertime and you're spilling your reservoirs, well, then you wouldn't be doing recycled water during those months. Except my view was, if you leave the reservoirs full and you take the direct potable reuse, then you'd be getting an automatic extra year of storage. And that's true. So it's all talks in progress. I kind of wish you had seen it, or you might want to watch it on the video. He's not opposed to it, but he's just talking about costs. And again, it gets into either one of those. If you don't do them continuously all the time, year round, year after year, and you have to, because the parts that you use for reverse osmosis can't be dried up.
the membranes.
The membranes have to be remained wet. And so it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't see it as a problem. I don't really agree with Ben on a lot of things. Yeah, actually, it's now become a way of doing business for agencies throughout California to have a steady source of either desal or potable reuse as just part of their portfolio.
Yeah.
So they don't need as much storage.
That's
It's actually, there's not a trade-off. You just don't need as much storage now. And if that water spills over, great, it's good for the environment.
Yeah.
So actually, I think that's kind of a misleading point.
Okay.
And one of the things you also mentioned was that the only proposal that financially might make some sense in the long run is direct potable reuse, because it comes out per acre foot to be way less than any of the others, and to build it is way less. To build a IPR, indirect potable reuse, where we'd have to pump our clean water up to Kent Lake, would be $450 million to build the pipeline to Kent Lake. And it's like, okay, not that much.
That kills it.
Yeah, that kills it. I mean, $450 million would be 100+ million to build a 5 MGD plant here. Anyway.
So we also looked at our main switchgear and headworks motor control centers, the electronic center of the building. They've been reviewing those every 2 years with the plan that they're going to replace the headworks main switchgear for $8 million in probably 25 or 24, 25 budget. Not positive, they'll keep that on. We also looked at the updated 10-year forecast, and that means that they're going to probably raise our rates. They're looking at changing the rate structure for fiscal 25 from 4% increase to a 4.5, 26, 27, and 28 from a 3.5 to a 4.5. But we asked them to look at what does that actually mean in dollars, because they didn't tell us the dollars.
I can tell you.
That's math.
1% equals about 140,000.
Okay,
So
that's a big amount of money.
if we raise at 1% from 3.5% to 4%, our share would be about $70,000.
Additional.
Yeah.
And but then of course that compounded over the years, because you're going to have 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So your fee rate is going to go up more than that. So we asked them to look at 4.0, 4.0, 4.0, and also to tell us the dollar amounts. We're not in any hurry, so we didn't make any commitment to that. They made the point that, Central District 2, Corte Madera, and Ross Valley are right about to begin their rate structure. So it's probably a good time for us to have this. But San Rafael is very sad because they're not undergoing a rate structure review at this time. So it's not going to be good news for them.
That was, I'm on the finance committee for second, and that was a finance committee's recommendation because a lot of project unknowns, including you know, the switch gear. And oh, I'm sorry. And anyway, there's project unknowns on the switch gear. They may be able to postpone it, and it's expensive, but engineering reviews show that it's in pretty good shape because they maintain it. But that was a recommendation of the finance committee, those rates, and I participated. But the actual recommendation was that it's first needs to be reviewed by the managers committee, and so take it to the managers committee. That's in your report that it was going to go to the managers committee first.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's not a done deal by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes. That's better.
North Bay Watershed Association, take it away, Pam.
We met on November 3rd for 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. and we met at the City of Petaluma Ellis Creek Treatment Plant. It's always nice to go to a new place. Anyway, the most, I think, important person that presented was Dr. Chris Hall, program developer. It's called for the Center for Environmental Inquiry at Sonoma State. So he described the program, which is called Education into Action, and it's a model developed at Sonoma State. And they focus on the Rising Waters Initiative, a collaborative driven by local experts, NGOs, faculty, and students working together to tackle complex issues at the nexus of homelessness and water quality. Andy wrote this, not me. Particular attention will be paid on how universities and outside agencies can merge their cultures to work together to create actionable change in local communities. He focused quite a bit on homelessness and talked about how the students have these internships up to 3 years. And so they're learning what are the issues around water and homelessness. And the 3 issues that they are addressing is restrooms, water fountain, and public showers. I mean, basics. And they actually created a program and put it all together, and I'm not sure what the outcome was, but they won an award. It was fascinating. There were some statistics thrown out. It's $85,000 for each homeless a year, just on basic needs. So they're starting to look at how can they help the homeless, hopefully with creating at least some water. And I think that's everywhere for homeless. That's why they live near the creeks. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, we have our annual, what do you call it, in April, it's every 2 years.
Conference.
Yeah. And so I'm joined a side committee to help out because they're going to do scholarships.
Oh, good news.
Yeah, I got my way.
I'm glad that worked.
So if you have ideas about it, any asks, let me know and I'll give them to Jean Mariani. And that's it for me.
Mobile report by our general manager.
Thank you, President Borstein, and thanks, actually what Director Knights just alluded to, we looked into the issue of scholarships, and we had Director Knights and I had a discussion about this. We brought Courtney in too, and we asked her to ask North Bay Watershed Association if they'd be interested in doing that, and they would. So thanks to Director Knights. And it makes sense at that scale,
Yeah, 9 counties.
9 counties, yeah, whatever the number of counties. And as opposed to just having a district specific program where, we only have a couple of high schools, by participating in this broader initiative, we maybe have the opportunity to touch more potential students that have an interest in environmental water careers. So thank you, Director Bank, for following up on that. For my report, I just have two items. One's kind of detailed. So I'll start with the first item, which we already talked about a little bit, 1111 Anderson. The site improvement schedule, we did receive it last week. It was a little tight to look for our move-in time, and so we worked with them, and Felicia alluded to that. But we expect to be ready for business on Monday, December 4th, operating out of the facility. And I think in part because the weather's been so cooperative. They cooperated this week for 2 predicted rain days. Actually, we're sunny, today and yesterday for predicted rain days. So we've really been able to catch up, and we think we'll be able to pave before we move our vehicles to the facility on November 30th. And much furniture has been delivered, as Director of course mentioned. And just say the offices are taking shape, and also the common rooms. We have the furniture in there, so we're getting a feeling for what the kitchen break room area is. Feel like it's very welcoming, and so excited to be able to show you.
Board table, what are we calling it?
Dais.
Dais.
Yeah, the dais is being assembled. It'll be delivered, I believe, the week of the 27th of November. Right, that was the latest we got. But it'll be there, but by the time we're moving, it should be in place. Okay. And the staff table's there, and we're having it doesn't have its counter yet, and we're stretching it, we're gonna make it a little bigger. So it's all coming together. And that's it for that. So my big item today is any other questions, Joe? 1111? Yeah, we'll be working on the AV. We'll have time during December to get to know the cameras and the audio and the monitors and all that system, so that we can operate a hybrid meeting like we can do here. Like we can do here, it's all set up. So we'll be learning that first couple of weeks of December, and we're excited. The second item is a pretty large item. That's the reason this month we received the Regional Water Board compliance inspection. It was a 5-hour event. And to give you some sense of why this is significant, of course it's significant for us because it's a compliance inspection, but they let us know at the beginning that we were the second agency to be inspected by this Regional Water Board since the new statewide order became effective on June 5th, 2023. So with that came a brand new template for the inspection form. And this is an 18-page form, and there are many attachments that we had to furnish as part of this. So it took 3 weeks for us to gather all the information together and get current, and then submit it to the regional board in advance of the inspection. Out of over 100 enrollees in the statewide order in the Bay Area that they are responsible for regulating, we're just one. We were the first agency to be inspected by this Regional Water Board for a second time. Let me repeat that. We were the first agency out of the 100 agencies that they regulate to be inspected for a second time.
What do you think, Steve?
Within what period of time, too?
Since the order was adopted in 2006. So they go through the 100 or plus 110 or whatever it is, one by one. And we are the first collection system to be inspected a second time in the history of the program. So just fairly momentous. They chose Ross Valley to be.
Is it good?
Well, I want to know.
2013 is the last time we were inspected, and no other collection system in the Bay Area has ever been inspected the second time. Just letting you know. You give you the facts.
Good job. Sorry.
So I told you about the 3 weeks. Okay, so the information is more extensive than the previous statewide order requires, right? So, and what is more extensive? I would say out of all the data that they asked for, I see a lot of similarity, on things like, like response time to spills, average response time, terms like this. How many staff are here? And interesting, factoids about the sewer system, about, what percent is 2020 to present, what are 1900 and before, the age distribution of our system. So we use our CMMS to populate this table. I'll hand it out if it's interesting information. What pipe materials, I expected all that. And, how many miles of force main and all that good stuff. But what's new is details on the finances a little bit, as far as what's our operating budget for O&M and what's it been for the last 5 years. And actually Corey, who's on the line, and he helped us put this stuff together too. What was the capital expenditure budget for the last 5 years, and what was the actual expenditures? So what was the budget? What was expended? How many miles were replaced along the way? That's all new. This reporting on your capital program. Not only that, but for the next 5 years, what's your budget? What's your capital reserve amount? This is all new reporting that apparently only one other agency has had to do this besides us so far.
And they were doing it for the first time.
No, I don't remember what. And they didn't tell us that. So, and then, to answer these questions, we provide links, to the website on our budget. On page 68 is where the capital improvement program is in our annual budget. So go there if you want to see the details, all the projects, and then we gave them all the project sheets that you see in the annual budget. And so we gave them a lot of detail, and then we gave them all the information on our rates. They wanted to know the last 5 significant capital projects we built and the next 5 that we're going to build, and how much it's cost, how much budget, how much actual cost. But we have all that information. Corey has at his fingertips, and we keep pretty close track of this in order to comply with the cease and desist order expectations. We have everything geared up to answer these questions. So I thought I'd share with you some of these details. And the inspection was attended by 5 Ross Valley staff, myself, Patrick Filippelli, our data guru, who showed masterful ability to pull up specific data and maps based on a lot of questions that we were fielding. Same goes for John Vogel, our operations supervisor and condition assessment, the perfect person for this type of thing. Very calmly and confidently pulled up video of specific sewers that were asked about. It was really, they did very well. Paul Bromer was there, did great. And then Phil Benedetti was there and helped out with some of the capital programs. And then for regional board staff, there was Michael Chi, who has been there from the beginning. So he was like a lead staff on the cease and desist order. And his supervisor and the head of the NPS division, James Parrish, was there. And then they had 2 student interns. So they had the students didn't ask a lot of questions, but Mike Chi asked a lot of questions, and we believe we were well prepared to answer any and all questions that water board staff posed. We used our CMMS info asset to provide detailed answers to questions about everything from work orders to performance targets to, there was a specific question: how much techite pipe is still left? Because they were under the impression techite pipe was a real problem. We need to get rid of all of it based on their last inspection in 2013. So what did we do? We used info asset to Patrick developed a map real time and showed a map of the district with all the techite pipes in red. It's like, here's where they are. Right there. That was pretty cool. So now my final point is we did discuss the cease and desist order. They did, want to set some time aside for that. And we brought up the latest annual report. Each February 1st, we provide a detailed annual report on our activities to implement the cease and desist order requirements. So we pulled up that report, and most of it details all this work we've done over the last 10 years. But there is the update each year, what's been done in the last year. So we touched on that. And what's remaining. And you remember this last year we did the capacity evaluation. right? Where we modeled the system based on new monitoring information. And we ruled out 2 out of 3 capacity projects. We still think there's one needed in Fairfax. We talked about that a little bit. It's a very challenging place to work to be able to do those upgrades. Yeah, and the feedback from Mike was, well, maybe we'll just rescind the CDO when you finish those 2 projects. And we said, well, before you just decide that, remember another aspect of the cease and desist order is that we resurvey defective pipe on a 3-year and 5-year interval based on the requirement of cease and desist order. So remember, 3 years and 5 years. Well, you know, in 2021, we did the IAMP update. Remember that? You might remember we did a pipe deterioration analysis. It was pretty advanced, you know, where we took pictures of actual pipe where there was this type of defect, looked at it 5, 6, 7, 10 years later. And then we came up with, you know, how long does it take for pipes to degrade in our system? And we calculated that we don't need to do 3 and 5 years. We should do 5 and 8 years based on the scientific study we did with a very high data, you know, a lot high end value, a lot of sample size on this. So we explained to them, you know, we'll save all kinds of staff time to do things like our innovative notice to repair program. And this is the same staff that are doing these resurveys that could be doing other things to fix the private laterals, for instance. We said, I think you should consider rescinding the cease and desist order because it will free up staff time to do things that are more effective. And they said they'd think about it. So that's where we're at on that. You know, hopefully, you know, we'll, persuade them to put something on the board agenda because it is the 10-year mark. We've really accomplished much. We don't have any more defective pipe to repair. And there are these 2 capital projects that are already scheduled in the 10-year capital improvement program that we gave them in the inspection. Here's the link. They can see that they are funded and planned, but they're not the highest priority based on our IMP risk assessment.
Oh, we have to do one?
Well, we have them funded and planned.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's not going to be the first thing on the list just to have the cease and desist order removed because of one staff's judgment. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to continue to have the dialogue. And but yeah, it's not easy to have a cease and desist order rescinded.
Are they gonna respond?
Yeah, you know, we're going to get a good question. What's the next step? We're going to get an inspection report.
Oh, okay.
And so, you know, we will receive that, understand where our deficiencies were, what changes are expected, you know, what's our plan to rectify any problems that they've identified. And hopefully through that communication, we'll get an idea on if they've had further discussions about the cease and desist order. You know, meanwhile, it doesn't really help or hurt us except for that one point I made about our staff efficiency, you know, and really a shared goal with the water board.
Absolutely. You probably know, I hope you know historically that when Greg Norby came in, the cease and desist order was in place. And they had said, the water board had said, go do what you said you were going to do under Brent Richards. And Greg started to look at it and I think with the original IAMP said, that's not the right thing to do. And he was able to get them to turn on a dime and say, like, the way I talked about it at the time was they realized, oh, there's an adult at home. So, okay, yeah, you tell us how you're going to fix it. You don't have to operate under the old guy's plan. Now, this is similar in that it's with the new data. You shouldn't be fixing what we said we were going to fix under old data.
I believe they really did turn on a dime. It was like 4 days later.
Yeah, that's excellent point. And actually in my communication with the water board this Monday, when I furnished follow-up items, I said more or less the same thing you just said, which was, you know, through the implementation of the cease and desist order, the long list of capital projects was always subject to modification or delay based on updated risk assessment information. We updated our risk assessment information in 2021 and again in 2023 with the capacity evaluation. And our updated CIP reflects that updated risk assessment. So therefore, we request that you consider rescinding the cease and desist.
And I was also gonna
4
ask,
miles a year required. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you had the small collection systems of the year flag hanging up in the background of this one. So that was humorous, which I know is not necessarily this, but it doesn't hurt.
We did, when we transmitted this form,
Mhm.
we included an email transmittal links to the CWA collections of the year and the CASTA organizational excellence. Right up front, right up top.
Do you think they chose us because we had a cease and desist, or maybe because we might show the biggest change?
Yeah, I think those are good, theories. One, I think they look at us as a resource, I explain this to folks, part of the interest in working here for me is that it's a place of innovation that was driven by a very strict regulatory requirement. So
Exactly.
it's a place where you learn new things, and trial and error. I mean, some things don't work as well. Right? So,
Well, and they, yeah. They could take credit for what's gone on here, right? And
That's why they don't want to rescind it.
And Steve speaks regulator on our behalf too, so, makes sense.
Yeah, they had lots of questions about, it was a very collegial, interaction. It was 5 hours, but that was part of it, it was interesting. And I think they were interested, they knew we were participating in the statewide order, right? And they knew that we had some problems with the drafts and that we commented and suggested some changes, and some changes were made. And you remember, I briefed you on all that. And he asked me the question, was there any change you wanted made that wasn't made? And I said, not many. Then I thought, oh yeah, you changed, you kept the SSMP, the Sewer System Management Plan outline, and that was good because there were some changes that were going to confuse everyone. So you kept the outline, good. But you changed the FOG program, fats, oils, and grease program, to this thing called sewer blockage, which includes roots and rags and things like that. But you didn't really need to do that because we were doing that anyway in the O&M program. We were already doing roots, and it was nice having the FOG separate as its own thing. That it's an interface with the restaurants and all that. It's a focused commercial, users program. So I offered him that I didn't love that change, but we can live with it, that sort of thing. So it was very collegial. I think they look to us, I guess, to answer your question, Director Gaffney, they look to us as a source of information, on how to implement the program and lessons learned. So anyway, that was a long report, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it fairly, candidly, and I think it went pretty well. And I look forward to getting the inspection report because there's always things we can improve on. And there's expectations that the regulators have that sometimes aren't completely clearly understood. But when you do an inspection, you then understand how they want things reported, or just certain details that we may not be able to anticipate. So I look forward to getting their inspection report and implementing any changes that they think we need to implement.
Remember, we went to the CSRMA presentation and they talked about these inspections and and how to respond. And I was sitting next to you. So.
That's right. Thanks for bringing that up. I used that.
Yeah,
I used my notes from that to prepare the day before staff. The folks that I mentioned, Phil, Paul, Patrick, John, and I got together for 2.5 hours and went through that list of pitfalls.
Yeah,
for inspection.
What not to say?
Well, yeah, things are we may not have prepared and been ready for. So we went through those, and I think that got us. That was when I mentioned that we were well prepared. I think that training was really timely.
We're good.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Item 6, verbal report by board members and request for future items. No.
Well, we got one for
Yeah, this is just the form that we, if you're interested in looking at.
And you're not gonna post this on the, I don't know. Okay.
I just want to report, my neighbor got a septic to sewer.
Wow.
And I was like, they had to close the road for 2 days. But, what an awesome experience. And our guy who was up there, I don't know who it was, I didn't want to get too much in the way, there was all kinds of people up there. It was 100 foot, I think it was 100 feet. One of these little Fairfax cottages, it was concrete and it was just phenomenal how they even, you must have, looked at the report. So I think it was the first, if I'm not, I think he took the loan, but I won't ask too many questions about that.
No, it's good. I think he did qualify for the loan. I mean, I don't know if Felicia or Corey have any memory of something like that coming through.
I would need a name or an address. We did.
Chris in Fairfax. I think it's for, oh God, I don't know my neighbor.
Yeah, there was a gentleman in Fairfax. What was his name?
Somebody.
Yeah, Neil Howes, Hous.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. He got quite a substantial loan, in fact.
He was like, I have to get the loan handled. Like,
Yeah, so that's government in action. We
Yeah.
adopted the new the modification to the loan program that allows septic sewer 3 months ago, and he qualified, and I think we help advance our mission.
so the word is out in the canyon because of that's where a lot of them are. So anyway, happy ending.
Like I said, I was very pleased. The past few weeks, we received a little bit of a nasty gram from a constituent, some of the daughters of the older constituent.
I know the cruise also. Do you know the cruise?
No.
Okay.
But anyway, immediately that we got it, we dispatched Paul Bremer out there and he explained it to them. And my understanding is that everybody's happy and issue resolved. And so
Great. I was going to ask.
Yeah, that's the notice to repair program. And one thing that we're having our condition assessment staff do to push the envelope a little bit on getting problematic laterals repaired that we know are a risk to our public system. And so we really want to focus on that. And it's like any new initiative, there's lessons that are going along the way. And so this was good. We made a shift a little bit on how we're prioritizing different kinds of defects and being careful about the message we're delivering to the ratepayers. Because we're just, as Felicia says, it's a voluntary compliance program. But there is, there's an enforcement aspect to it that helps us get it done.
We send out Paul.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
We want to focus on the priorities that really are risks to the public system, and the risk to creating public sewer overflows, which is what
I was pleased with the speed that it occurred. We didn't wait around for people. But anyway,
That's great.
it got taken care of. I believe everybody's satisfaction. I didn't receive any more.
Nasty ground.
There's all good. There's no more. Item number 7, the consent calendar. Matters listed under this item are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. The consent calendar may include resolutions, therefore the motion, second, and vote will also be applicable to the resolution and recorded accordingly. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the board or the public prior to the time that the board votes on the motion to adopt. Would anybody like to pull anything off of the consent calendar?
No.
Okay.
I move the consent.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Hi.
Okay, terrific. Unanimous, and we already did number 8. So number 9, consideration of authorizing the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute a purchase agreement with Jack Doheny Company, JDC, for the purchase of 2 IVAC camera systems in the total of $137,268.03.
Oh, good. I'll introduce this item. One thing before I get started is we have it's not a change sheet, but it's a clarification of the table that's on board packet 137. So it's under item 9. There's a table that summarizes the cost of these 2 cameras, but there were some lines missing. All this information is in the attachment in the quotes that are attached, but the summary table was missing a couple of lines, and so that's what this handout is. So if you have the handout there. So if you just look at board packet page 137, there's a table there, but the table should have been this larger expanded table that we've handed out. All the information is in the board packet and the attachment. The summary table is missing some lines. Okay, so those totals are all accurate. They just did the math, which Director Gaffney
Did.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't make it work.
he was doing this, and he was right. But, we missed some lines. That's the explanation there. Let's go back to the introducing the item. This past budget year, we requested budget for new cameras for the crews, specifically line repair crew. They use a pretty old, outdated camera. I think it's so outdated that we can't really buy the same type of camera again. We need the line repair crew to have a decent camera to confirm the repairs that we do. And we can find imperfections with a higher definition camera. It's not inexpensive, but worth having this QA/QC improvement in our activity, because you might remember in our metrics report we've been having a higher failure rate of our equipment repairs, and we think technology can help us solve some issues sooner as we're out in the field doing the work more contemporaneously. So that's the more expensive camera, if I remember correctly, the $100,000 camera for the line repair camera system. And then the old camera would just be as a backup in case we have problems or we damaged the computer. We don't necessarily surplus the old one, we just keep it as a backup. And then the condition assessment crew, they have high definition cameras, but the current system, they have to switch out for smaller diameter sewers. They have to take time to unscrew the larger camera for the larger diameter sewers and put the smaller diameter sewer camera on, and it's painstaking. And if we can just get another unit that is specifically for small diameter sewers, it will really save a lot of time and hassle and create some more efficiency. So that's why we set this up in the budget for this coming year as requests from the crews to improve their efficiency. And so now we're back here in November with a proposal, and like prior proposal, this Sourcewell group has a way of giving us little discounts. This was not as dramatic as the VACCON vehicle that we adopted that we approved recently, but we do get some nominal discounts by working with Sourcewell. It helps us meet the budget. I think we included $150,000 in this year's budget to get these 2 cameras, and we come in at a proposed $137,000, and so I think we're getting good value. And we provide some pictures. I don't know if it made the point or not, but the high definition capture gives you a little bit more detail. It might be more dramatic in the computer version of the agenda than the printed version. But
These are not the same place.
yeah, they're the same place.
Oh, okay, so you have,
left and right.
yeah, so you have a oh, okay.
Yeah.
But where the HT is now, you couldn't get there or
Just
whatever.
you have just a
There's some places you can't get with an HD camera currently.
well, no, it's not the places you can get, it's the image that you get. And so when you get a more high definition image, you really have a better eye on being able to tell what, you know, if that is that a crack or is that just, you know, a color mark, you know.
Right,
Is that a crack in the pipe or is that just a root fragment? You know, if you're looking at pictures, if you don't have enough definition, sometimes you can misdiagnose what you're looking at. You might think it's a clay pipe when it's actually cast iron that's kind of rusty.
Right.
You know, those kind of subtleties are more evident. in
But
high
these-
definition.
These must have been taken where we can get an HD camera, but there are some places in our system where we're buying this to get to, right?
Oh, good, yeah. So for the condition assessment, right now, you know, we have a system that's set up for the larger diameter sewers. And we wanted to get a camera. And so we have to unscrew from the unit, the larger diameter sewer camera. Because it's too big to fit in.
And put in the
6
little
and 8
old one.
sewer.
Yeah.
And then we screw on, you know, the smaller camera, right, that is older and less definition, correct? Yeah, and so for that crew, and that's the lesser of the two expenditures, it's only about 37,000.
Still a long way for a camera.
It is. I hear you, and you know, I really am grateful that staff is careful with this equipment. You know, it's the sort of thing, the type of work we're doing, you know, it's subject to damage. And they do the best they can to protect it and protect the ratepayers.
What's the warranty on this?
I'm not sure about the warranty. Yeah, that's something we'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
I believe Jack Doheny, though, is a vendor we've got a very good relationship with. So even though I don't know the answer to that, Doug, right off the top of my head, I would guess it would be at least a year. And I know that they've made good on some other kind of equipment, you know, deliverables that haven't been up to our full expectation. So again, we have a very good relationship with them as a vendor.
Yeah, but what it does say is, they're passing on the manufacturer's warranty, if any. So I guess we should, it'd be interesting to look and see if the manufacturer offers a warranty of any type.
Yeah, there is. There's sort of industry standard. I'm sure we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Haney is saying
What's that?
it's a sales company.
Yeah, so the seller's not doing the warranty, but they're passing, and we do the same thing. Sure. In my company sometimes. We get a warranty from the manufacturer.
I think that's a really good point, Doug, and it also underscores that because we have such a good relationship with that vendor, if for some reason we were not happy with the manufacturer's product, that the Jack Doheny would make it, would work on our behalf to make it right.
Yeah, we see him in the expenses monthly.
Yes, we do a lot of business with them.
Yeah, and we're going with the IBAC camera systems and generally pleased with the performance of the equipment, with vis-a-vis manufacturer warranty issues that might come up. So we do, our staff keep asking for this type of equipment, and so it would be fairly straightforward to get back to you on what the warranty is. My guess, 1 year. We'll see if I'm right.
Yeah, I bet.
And for manufacturer's defects, right?
Yeah.
Not for anything else, yeah.
Oh, yeah, not for wear and tear. No way, yeah.
They know what we're doing with this camera. We don't have a problem with cameras breaking. I mean, we're all, okay.
Yeah, but one example is we have a particular pesky sewer on Mitchell Avenue in Democrat, which is an ACP, it's an asbestos cement pipe, and it's really an inferior material that we're getting rid of where we can. And so it becomes kind of flaky, and if the bottom drops out, so you get bottom erosion, hole forms, and then you get erosion under the pipe. And so what happened in the last year, I believe we lost the camera dropping into that hole. When we were trying to get, go and do a repair, and this is a real headache sewer for us. So yes, we do damage our equipment. and make mistakes here and there. You know.
But it's not, it wouldn't be for the entire value of the camera, it's something that would get fixed.
Yeah, I believe we went to for repair. We have a repair budget for condition assessment and stuff.
Are we gonna repair that hole that it fell in? Okay, good.
We were within
I know.
24 hours.
You're calling the crews back, like you're clearly on
That was
the.
that one was, it was an ordeal, it was an overtime situation, we lost the camera toward the end of the day, it was really tough, very challenging. But we got through the night and got a repair in, and we're planning for that to be, we're gonna replace that pipe with a smaller contract in the coming months.
Do they have a reverse the cameras? Can they go in reverse?
Oh, yeah, I wish Paul were here to answer that question.
Well, Paul did tell us that.
They don't have to go reverse. That's how you get them out.
Well, there's some kind of hand tilt feature and,
Paul was telling us that it's time consuming to switch do what you were saying.
yeah, switch the camera.
Change the head, something.
Yeah, that's right.
It takes a while, and the clean stops.
Yeah, I mean, it goes, clear, like Doug said, it clearly goes in reverse, but whether you can camera in reverse, I'm not sure the hand and tilt goes forward.
Maybe how big the pipe is.
It's like an owl, an owl it looks like it's turning head completely around, but it can't really. It might, but you can't keep going, you can't
It's
go.
not universal.
No.
Universal joint.
Yeah, not a new joint. Yeah.
Right.
At any rate, I don't have much more to add. I do wish Paul could answer that further question, but I'll get back to the board on one of the manufacturing work.
Well, do we have any more questions from the board?
No.
It was one of the things we spent some time with Paul yesterday at the finance committee, and will ultimately save us time and money. Our guys being out there, so we can usually the finance committee like technology, so I'd love to hear a motion.
I move we authorize the general manager upon review and approval of council to execute a purchase agreement with Jack Doheny Company for purchase of 2 IBAC camera systems in the total amount of $137,268.03.
One second.
Seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, thank you, board members. Yeah, to your point, Director Borstein, really, when we do the budget process each year in February, March, we ask staff to tell us what investments we can make to make them more efficient. And then we have a dialogue about different technologies that they think will really help solve an issue. And this was a good example of that, both these cameras.
I really feel good that our district is, I believe we're right up there at the forefront of technology for what we do. I remember a number of years ago, we were at the CSRMA meeting where a lot of the older members, older in terms of age and the people who were attending CSRMA was, we don't need that technology. That's not a break. They didn't like the idea of smart covers. Yeah, I think it's really,
Who didn't like any smart covers?
Huh?
Who didn't like any smart covers?
Many.
Old people at
Eight or 9 years.
They all-
Like, we don't. Yeah.
I like you gave him a PhD, or is he in? You just called him Dr. Borstein.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
That's the big director.
There are a lot, there's a Dr. Borstein, but that was his father.
PhD, I'll hire you.
We did ask Paul if it's gonna be surplus.
Yes, you keep.
No, he's gonna keep them. They're not that big, they're hard to store, and if one goes for
Yeah, you saw our warehouse has an empty shelf.
Yeah, warehouse.
I was surprised at how unpacked our warehouse. After moving everything from the warehouse.
We close out the rental area.
Yes, yeah.
You mean the warehouse at 111 Anderson?
Yeah.
So we moved in there and,
You know, we
oh,
all, everything we wanted to move there is there.
okay,
I think we split some stuff to one of the pump stations.
right.
You got it.
But it is a jam.
Oh, okay, item number 10, moving along. Consideration of accepting the year-end capital program report for fiscal year 2022-23.
All right, so this is the 6th version of this report. It was designed to track compliance with the CDO, really, and the infrastructure asset management in 2013. That came out of that. That was a quick modification, as you mentioned earlier. I also, for this item, we printed out one of the tables in 11x17 in case it was hard to read in the 8.5x11. And this particular table shows construction expenditures for the different active capital projects during fiscal year 22-23. So that's an important point. We always remind everyone this is July 1st to June 30th. So this is there's more capital work that's been done in the last few months. But this gives you an idea of the burn rate, you know, how in terms of construction costs on different projects. And the ones that are in gray on this larger table are the completed projects, and the ones in the green color are under construction and not closed out. We haven't issued a notice of completion yet on anything in green. So that's those details. Whenever I go over this annual report, I go to the graphs, the text describes all the different projects that we've jumped over the years under the INP framework. And on board packet page 157 is a graphical description of what we as an agency committed to for miles of pipe and dollars to the regional water boards as part of the INP. And we're to be done by fiscal 1920. You can see on the x-axis, which we more, mostly were. But we were behind a couple of years. And the expectation was 95 million and 32.3 miles. And if you flip the page to board packet 168, you see the actuals, and 1920 is three fiscal years back, and you see that if you compare 95.7 to 98, we actually exceeded the amount invested. And then we compare 28.82 to 32.3, we were a little bit under, about 4 miles, or less than 4 miles to go out of 30. At that time, at that snapshot. Last year, 21-22, we surpassed 32.3 mileage mark. So like I said, it was 2 years later, but it cost 118 million. It was a lot more expensive to go for the mile. And this graph just continues the story. The miles that are in this graph correspond to those that have, for which a notice of completion has been issued. So actually, there's more miles in the ground than this graph shows, but this just
including 2/10 of a mile, 2/10 of our pipes are before 1900, according to your report.
Oh yeah, we're looking at the inspection report. I passed that around. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We still have some pretty old pipes. So this is just an ongoing tally of our programs. The goal of transparency about, you get an idea of how much expenditures are made for the construction, but also the professional services. On board packet 165, we give an idea of the cost for design, engineering services during construction, environmental costs, construction management costs for each of these projects. And then if you go on into the report, 167, we have our emergency repair project that we constructed since the chief and assist order. On board packet 168, 169, we have the as needed projects that come up. Example of, for next year, you'll see the Redwood High School one that we have fund. And then for district capitalized repairs, board packet 169 and 170 is an ongoing tally of projects. And this has increased lately because of the ordinance 110 that the board approved a couple of years ago. We do projects $200,000 and less with an informal bidding process. And if we do it less than 60,000, it can be approved by the general manager according to financial policy. So we are able to do projects fairly efficiently on a small scale in ways that we haven't done in the past. And so this table gives you a detailed accounting of that. And who builds them, and what the scope is, etc., and why we do it. Good, and then an overall tabulation of the different projects follows. So that, and then Patrick always gives us a little 2-sheet summary for the projects for which we issued notice of completion in the previous fiscal year. So we have 2021 gravity sewer, and then the 22-23 gravity sewer, and a little map. So you see the pipe that's in the ground and ready to serve district for another 100 years. So that's my prediction. Anything we're putting in the ground now is good for a century.
My pipe is 120.
Well, you probably need to have that.
Did you give all these to the?
Yeah, we always link, when we do our annual report, we always link the metrics and the capital report to that submittal. February 1st.
Do they assign a person to us?
Well, we get the sense from the inspection that, we used to have a person named Jessica Watkins. She moved to the groundwater division. And since she moved on, we haven't really had a person assigned in 2 years. And there wasn't a new assigned person at the inspection. It was just, the program lead, Mike Chi, and the division chief, James Parrott. So we didn't actually have a staff person assigned. There were 2 students that were inspected.
I noticed in your report there were very few no's checked. Yes, and the only question. 2 or 3, like the form. Yes. Very few things.
Yeah, and the ones that are no, there's a reason. Like, for instance, did we evaluate? Does our audit evaluate our compliance with the general order? Well, no. Why? Because the general order was adopted after the audit.
Oh.
Yeah, no. That just shows we're paying attention. I'm not just checking yes.
I have one question about Baywood. There's a fat bill, 460,000.
Oh yeah, the emergency project.
So what's happened?
What thing?
21 of 34.
Creek crossing.
It was an emergency, but that's a lot of money. I don't remember it. If anybody does, just curious.
Yeah, this was it looks like it spans from September 2017 to February 2018.
There isn't.
Yeah. It's in Fairfax.
I do remember that.
There's a creek, yeah.
The creek.
Yeah, the
It
San Saba
says-
Creek.
There was an emergency resolution.
It hit a suspension.
Yeah, exactly. There was some little bridgey thing that
Yeah.
was supporting a pipe, and yeah, it was dramatic.
Yeah.
And it was a dry creek at the time, but it had the potential to spill sewage into the active creek. So
Yeah, it's one of the
Wonderful.
longer repairs.
Yeah. There was a photo of it in the board packet, I remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow, that was before you were here,
And before I was
we're all
here,
blurring together,
but it was a.
but I do remember Greg talking about it, so.
I heard, yeah, I was briefed on it that, and I saw in the file that we actually had to hire a design engineer.
Yes,
To design the fix, so you always have to do that with the emergency stuff, often we can do in-house and just have our engineer guide the contractor through sketches and that sort of thing, but we actually had, I think Brown and Caldwell designed a fix, and that's not inexpensive.
is there no one on staff who was here? I'm just
Well, it was to be able to say it was probably different.
Felicia was on staff. And they were sending that.
Oh, yeah? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I'm trying to recall if it's the one that I'm visualizing, with it was a big repair on a hillside. The one I'm thinking about.
Was that one, but I think this was before, and there was like the suspension bridge that was holding up pipe. I don't know if the suspension bridge was holding
That's what I
out
remember.
pipe. But yeah, it was,
Well, it was a cable thing.
Yes,
It wasn't, nobody could walk on it.
right.
And the tree hit the cable.
Oh,
There you go.
Poor design again. For a sewer,
It
right?
wasn't on a hill.
No, but I remember that too. I remember that
They
hillside
isolated
stuff.
the number, like 7 homes or something on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must be thinking of a different one.
About the emergency
Well, and that's the worst of it, knock on wood. For 10 years.
Yeah.
Was that Baywood, that was the worst emergency.
surprised the town didn't pay something. But it's all behind us now, so.
I was reading that there was a lot of contracts.
I have to say, I love the shading because I remember when Catherine was beginning to develop these, the engineer, and I was like, you can shade them in different colors, so I'm gonna take the credit for the
Remember,
shading.
you and I think, on the finance committee, and we kept changing the titles.
Yeah. But we were actually asked, it was like the assistant, or was Catherine the main engineer?
She was the main engineer.
Yeah,
for a
but she
while.
was the one doing this.
I was talking about like shading of squares with the main engineer. That in retrospect does not seem right. Like it shouldn't have been her responsibility. Just shade in the box.
She was, she got this effort off the ground, in the first year. But I don't think she was here for the second year. So we took the same format, and I worked with Patrick and continue to work with Patrick each year, and Corey helps out with the financials that I give Patrick. So, but yeah, she helped set up the format.
Just to begin representing like how to tell people about the work that we were doing, because we didn't really have a good way to do that. We've come a long way.
Yeah, I do think in future years, though, we might be retooling it because this really is still retrospective to a 2013 IAMP, and now we have the 2021 IAMP, and we define things a little differently. But it is interesting to continue to have this cumulative record, so I won't lose that. But I think we may see some of this reiteration of these old projects disappear. It's time to move on to what the new IAMP dictates. And move beyond fees and disability.
We're with you.
Nobody's got anything else? Do I have a motion?
I move we accept the year-end capital report. Is that what it is? Yes, okay, for fiscal year 2022-2023.
Second.
Stephanie is all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Yeah. That. Yep. The operations and maintenance metrics report. Steve.
Okay, so we reached a new milestone. It's kind of buried in here. I was wondering if any of the board members picked it up.
Give us a
I saw it was an SSL, so it's not that.
The one that's at the, pump station,
It's, it's like Easter, we're looking.
Yeah, it's a real Easter egg. It really
I'll
is.
say our flow CMSA is the lowest I've ever seen it.
Yeah, and and Doug gets the winner, except we had the wrong gap before, so it can't be done. I'm just kidding.
No, I said I know something that says something.
Oh, okay, fine. So, yeah, 40% is the lowest, influence flow we've ever recorded in CMSA. Our low before was 41, which we did a couple times last year, and I kept making a big deal out of it. And, but yeah, now we're at 40. So
that's our all-time low.
that's all time low. Yeah, last month.
Amazing.
So,
That jumps right out.
yeah, that's a big deal. And remember another fun thing to do. I've got last month's report here, and I'm comparing the pump station graph. And so going along with this low flow is pump station 15 in September was 62%. You know, our main workhorse at Kentfield, 62. This month it was 60. What does that tell us? I don't know. Maybe, you know, just the lower, as groundwater goes lower, because we didn't get any rain in October. So just as we, you know, so we're learning, this is fun to kind of explore what the data tell us as we have them broken down by pump station. So we'll look at relative percentage as the weather and how it responds to weather. So, you know, November's looking pretty dry. If December's wet, you know, we'll look at this graph and see, you know, how the different parts of our system respond, and it may give us some added insight into where we're getting infiltration.
We have a map of our system, like the color in blue.
Yeah, that's on Patrick's to-do list, but he's on parental leave right now.
You probably need something to do on his own.
Plenty to do.
So
I actually-
we are going to get that. We're working on that.
I think the pump station 15 is quieter. You know, I walk my dogs out there all the time, and it's actually not too many 100 yards from my backyard. Since the things were rehabbed, I think it got louder when there was some, you know, something else going on.
Well, it's interesting, you know, what's happening, we did take, so pump station 15 has 5 pumps, 2 smaller pumps for dry weather flow, and 3 big pumps for wet weather flow. The big pumps don't pump during these conditions.
Right.
So, and pump number 1 and 5 are the small pumps, and right now, pump number 1 had some issues. We took it out of service.
Oh.
And so we're all on pump 5 right now. So it might be quieter.
Okay.
If you noticed in the last.
Oh, I thought it was because you got them fixed up.
Right, so you'll see, you know, keep your ear out, because when the big flows come, you know, and then into January and February when we're pumping a lot more, that's when you'll see if there's a difference with the new.
No, maybe 5 was the culprit.
Which ones were the rehab? All of them?
3 and 4.
Okay.
2, 3, and 4 are the big ones, and 3 and 4 were both rehab.
Okay.
And but no significant expense, but you know, to rebuild them to replace them was way more expensive, so we wanted to go rehab, sorry. And but that's what's different right now is the pump 1 we approved to get that rehab, and there was some issues with the bearings on it.
Oh,
I think it was noisy. So,
But now it's out totally.
it's out,
So,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you a pair of Lost Valley.
So yeah, we did have an SSO, but it was I think this was really a minor, like a 1 gallon.
I'm looking at the fiscal year on the top, the SSO fiscal year to date. That's on page 198 of the board packet. It's confusing to me because you got this fiscal year to date, but then you have, I see what you're saying is the SSO for this month is one gallon.
Yeah. We call it category 4, and they really have less. And that's in roots, you know, so the root, you know, this SSO is by cause, you're right, this one, okay, yeah. The category 4 is less than 50 gallons, doesn't touch surface water, it's really insignificant. But it's still, we're still counting it and keeping track of it as a performance metric. This is a performance metric report. It's a performance metric, even if it is 1 gallon. Well, yeah, it's not a totally clean month. If we go back to Ford packet 191, and we want to acknowledge staff. I had looked back at our recycled water use last 8 months. I noticed that we were running a little behind our average that we've established, and so I asked staff to look at this, and they got busy and creative, and so our long-term average is around 30,000 gallons. So I told my direction to staff was let's meet that target. Let's do what we can to meet 30,000 gallons a month. Well, you see the number that's here in this table. It's over 30,000 up at the top of the Ford packet 191. No, it's per month 73. Yeah, so our long-term average really is 33,000, and this month staff was able to over double. And how are they doing it? They're actually taking, we've got 4 Vector trucks now, and so they're filling them all up with recycled water at the end of the day, and then they're parking them up in the system near where they're working, and so when they run out of water, then they turn around and get the other Vector truck and go. So I really recognize the efforts of staff to be creative and just really surpass the target. This summer, and so the graph down below shows what I was a little concerned about. We had the potable use July, August, and the non-potable use. You see that that's kind of a small percentage of non-potable recycled water use. So, and we were averaging more like, or we were doing 15,000, 18,000 gallons, and I thought we can do better. I think you guys want to think about that, and they did. So now our cumulative total is starting to inch up, and I'm hoping to have a 33% recycled water use is the target, and if we can surpass that, great. But what we're doing is balancing things, because where we are, it means truck trips, it means greenhouse gas, fuel, diesel fuel. So we don't need to recycle 100%, but we can optimize, and so I think by being creative, staff have come up with a good system. We'll keep an eye on that.
Is there any possibility ever that we could run a pipe from here to the new offices and so our trucks down there just running along 580 over there? Is it doable?
Oh, anything's doable. I'm an engineer. Of course it's doable.
It may not look good, but
Yeah, it's doable.
Why would it be better to,
But why would
just from here to
Well,
111
They could just.
yeah, so we can fill our trucks there.
instead of drive what's going to be like an 1/8 of a mile?
Right.
It's not very far.
Yeah, so that's,
It's also on the way to some of
I
our
think,
districts.
yeah, this is something we have in the business plan to look at, so we will, and we'll get to the bottom of that question. Is it worth the expense of laying a, hour-long pipe? What is it? How far are we from 11?
Less than 4 miles.
Yeah, so less than.
I said 1/8 of a mile, but I don't know if that's
Right.
true, but it
so-
is, yeah.
Right, so multiply that by 3 million times a quarter, and that's how much it'll
And
cost.
Steve, we're gonna probably
What's a quarter of 3?
customers along the way.
Quarter of a mile, 0.4 mile from here to there.
Point four.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Times 2.2 million,
multiply by 2.2.
900,000.
Okay, so it costs almost $1 million to lay that pipe. I don't know if I don't know. if
Instead of
that's-
having the trucks drive over here, which is still driving 0.4 miles, nothing.
Look at him, like, what's going on?
This is a very active board, it's a really engaging board and a
I mean,
capital
if we
program.
want to run a pipe to the middle of our district so that our guys can go back to it multiple times in the day, that's different.
You mean, through the tunnel, which we could do.
Well, there's already a pipe, yeah, so that, that's, under discussion, we were talking about.
Yeah.
There might be.
And CMSA covers part of the cost, because other people can go fill up at the RVSD recycled water center for their lawns when we're.
No, but they can't do it for lawns.
Okay.
just for like dust control, sewer clean out. So
If they wanna clean out their own laterals.
Oh.
Median water, really?
I think so.
I don't think so. No, it's vegetation.
Yeah, nothing with vegetation, the CMSA is too salty.
Oh, okay.
So, glad you mentioned dust control. Did you see dust control on our table this month?
Yeah.
You know what that was for?
That's the-
Dust.
11.
Yeah. They needed some water for dust control and we filled up our,
We said, we'll build a pipe.
Truck. So he took some credit for that. We keep track.
We could have just subtracted that from the.
Yeah.
What is the value of that amount?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not.
Not much.
It's not crude oil as far as the price, yeah. Okay, so, let's go to some fun facts for this month. Nice that it's a new low all time of percent for flow.
Their bill's going down.
And it means cumulatively our work is made as quantitative here. So I think we're done, and I think I wanted to make the next announcement, our next regular meeting. Is anybody a drummer here? A bass player, you want to some bass?
Wait a minute, drum roll, please.
Regular meeting on December the 20th, 2023 at 5 p.m. at 1111 Anderson Drive, Stanley Fell. 94901. Just down the street.
4 miles.
Just down-
0.4 miles. 0.4 miles.
How far is it?
0.4.
Meeting adjourned.